Welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Whether you're joining live or for the recording, welcome. I'm here in Bulgaria with the Black Sea behind me. And as you can see, the Black Sea is not so black. So yesterday, hello. Yesterday was super improvisational. I had somewhat of a plan, but for the most part, it was just totally in the flow. And today's going to be that way as well. However, there's a little bit more of a structure to some of the things we'll be talking about. And I'm going to address some of the questions that I got between yesterday's meeting and today's meeting about what consciousness is and what it means to be in the flow. Today's topic, formally, is momentum creates clarity, and how to not get stuck in how to. And as a result of not being stuck in how to, creating miracles effortlessly from our heart-centered being. So I actually want to begin with addressing a question that Sylvia asked about consciousness, and if consciousness is evolving, or if consciousness is that was really what the question is. And the answer to that is that consciousness is the space in which everything appears. Welcome, Sylvia. Wonderful timing. Just addressing your question. And at the beginning of today's meeting, there you are. Hey there. You can think of, not even think, you can experience today's meeting and the dialogue that we're going to be having between you and I, and between anyone who sees the recording, as more of a living meditation. And I was actually beginning with this idea for today's topic, which is how to not get stuck in how to. I did that as a bit of a joke, because so many times, especially in self-development, but also just generally in our lives, the number one problem, if I could call it the number one problem, which could be called the number one problem in multiple different ways, is people like you, people like me, feeling like we're in our own way. And that feeling of being stuck in our own way, we experience it as, we experience ourselves as the thing or the object that is between us and being in the flow with life. And so Sylvia, and again, anyone, because this is something that all of us deal with when we're identified as the thinker or the obstacle. We all deal with this, or we all have dealt with this. And I as well as I go through and talk about what I'm going to be talking about. Yeah, I invite you to have an openness and see if whatever's going on in your life or whatever's going on in whoever else is on the obstacle, or really any kind of suffering, whether it's on the low end of like a 1 out of 10 or like 10 out of 10, like I can't handle this, I can't take this. See if there's a solution just that naturally arises in consciousness. And this is exactly what I was beginning with, was consciousness. It just is. And so I say these things, Sylvia, and then when I say them, I will go, well, that's not even really the truth. You just say that consciousness is, I don't know. And that's actually yesterday why we began with questioning the I thought, with what's called self-inquiry, which is that thinks I don't know. There's I that experiences a problem. There's the I that feels like it's in the way. The one common denominator is the I thought. So if we can figure out, if we can in our own way, then that's really going to be the solution to any other problem that we experience. And by the way, it's very, very free flowing. So if at any point I say something, you right now have the beautiful opportunity, because you're the only one on with me, to just interject and ask me something. I don't mind, and I'm so grateful. Thank you for being here. I was just going to do it like as a recording, but I'm so happy that you're here live with me, and we get to create in this way together. And I want to thank you for your courage and your openness in what you shared in yesterday's meeting too. So thank you, Sylvia. And thank you for being here today. So consciousness is, right? Consciousness is, or is it? Or is it? See, we want to make meaning. And when I say we, I mean all human beings. We're meaning making, to use it as sort of a phrase, we're meaning making machines. We want to make sense of whatever it is. And for me to say consciousness is, and then I hesitate and I go, well, I don't even know that. I don't. Zlatko and I had this discussion, and we discussed it a little bit the other day. Whatever this is, so consciousness is having an experience right now of Sylvia, consciousness is having an experience of Christopher, consciousness is having an experience. We are an appearance in consciousness. So you change, I change. The only thing that I've seen to be a constant in my life is the fact that everything is changing all the time, or so it appears. But there's always, 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 always the I to which it appears. And that I is another word for consciousness. So we have objects that are appearing. let's take a look at some objects, and then I'll circle back to what I mean when I say, is consciousness? Is it really? But is it really though? Right? Yeah. Who knows? I don't know. But it's so liberating, and that's actually exactly why we began with self inquiry. Like, I can't tell you how many times, especially since I do sit as a role of a coach, or maybe somebody that's supposed to know things, where the most liberating one of the most liberating things that one of my mentors taught me, and then I've just learned by my experience, when someone asks me a question and I really don't know, instead of pretending to know or thinking that I need to prove something or explain myself or whatever it is, I'll just go, yeah, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. And that's whether it's a family member, or uh, the waiter when they ask me what I want to eat, or clients. There's no, like, this isn't. It's not like sometimes now if I've had experiences, I'll share what those experiences are. So let's talk about the objects, because this took me so long to figure it out, to figure it out. And if we can have this, the epiphany, the aha moment, which I love. Like, I love, like, there's nothing more that I love when I'm sitting with somebody else, or I'm sitting with myself, and all of a sudden I go, oh. It's like, oh, I get it. I don't get it, because the moment that I come in and I think, I've got it now, I'm going to share this with everybody, and then there's a story, and there's like this whole identity that gets built around, yep, I'm Christopher, and one day I realized the nature of consciousness, and now then it's like, that's not really it either, because all of it is just an appearance within itself, appearing to itself with itself in all of its forms. And I'm going to elaborate on exactly this. So let's look at the objects that are appearing to us right now. There's this glass of water. I had maybe a different experience of it than you did, because you can see it and you can hear my voice. So there's two objects. You're seeing it. There's sound. And then I if you have the water, I will happily. Nosrave. Nosrave. How is that? Banana. Cheers. Let's do a banana. A banana glass. Cheers. Cheers. And now you're tasting it too. So there's the I, which is I, Sylvia, am tasting this, hearing this. And then there's feelings as well. There's whatever, I feel this beautiful breeze. I feel the presence of a camera, a beautiful woman that just walked up to me, that's pointing a camera at me. It's odd because she just came up to me. She's right here right now. And all of it is appearing to consciousness. And all this is changing, because it's odd because she just winked at me. My babe. She's going upstairs. And so all that stuff, that's just like, as a felt experience right now, like a moment ago in the past, wink, wink, as if it exists. There's like a leftover banana-y taste, but all of it is just appearing to this this awareness. So now let's. Oh, and by the way, when I use the words awareness and consciousness and being, those are all. It's like, and I, actually, the simple word I, all the same thing. So let's talk about the subject-object distinction. And this is the thing that I wish I learned. I wish I learned when I was in first grade, instead of, you have a, what do they say? You have a noun, right? You have a noun in a sentence, and then a verb and all that. But then there's this subject object thing, and I could never wrap my mind around it with all these different teachers and stuff. They're like what is it? Because I was thinking about it like a verbal sort of like I was thinking about it in a linguistic way. But here's the thing. I is the subject. So there's another synonym. I is the subject, I is consciousness, I is awareness, I is being, I is I. And to every subject, and this is scientific, this is spiritual, and it's really the most practical of waking through self inquiry and seeing into this, as far as I've experienced and I've seen others experience. The subject, you are the subject, and within the subject, everything appears. So the subject is that which is everything, is that which everything is referring to. And the subject is what never changes. And a lot of people will think, there's like some scientists that are wrong, will say, well, yes, the subject is the brain. And consciousness brain. And I've had this conversation and I'll say, really? Because our experience, our direct experience right now, the brain is an appearance in the subject awareness of consciousness. That's what, like, when you go to see your reflection in the mirror, you never, like right now, I'm not even seeing me. I'm seeing a representation, which I love that word, representation, because it's really just a image, like the brain, that represents my brain, or whatever it is that consciousness is flowing through. I'm going to assume that it's my brain and my mind and my body. This is my instrument. Let's give a little instrument hug. Let's just appreciate our instrument for a moment. Because without this instrument, I mean, I don't remember before I was here. So I have a lot of friends, colleagues, clients who will say, I swear, if I didn't punch the way I would just been sitting here sitting, probably just hugging myself, hugging my body, not hugging myself, because myself, which is the subject, is unhuggable. It's I can feel this. It's the body. Oh, okay, cool. It's the brain. Okay, so the brain, the body, your representation in the mirror or in the little Zoom screen right here, or if you're watching it on the replay, just, in 2021, it's usually anywhere we look, there's something reflecting us, whether it's our iPhone screen or a window or something like that. All these shiny objects. Again, they're objects. They're just objects. And if we can see, all of this is literally appearing within me. Within me being the I being the awareness, I being the subject, I being the consciousness, I being the being, right? All just synonyms to point to the because the reality is that this is non-dual awareness right now. Like this is, dare I say it, what it is like to be. No, it's not what it's like to be. This is enlightenment. In the words of Jack Nicholson, what if this is as good as it gets? I think the movie he has is as good as it gets. And it's totally obvious that it's overlooked. It's so, because what we're looking for, what we're trying to figure out, whatever it is that which is looking. St. Francis said that. He said, what we're looking for is what's looking. What we are seeking is what is being sought, or something like this. And that's how we get out of our own way. Like, that's how to get out of our own way, is to realize there was never an I that was in the way. We aren't an object. when you look in the mirror and you see in the mirror this image, this fabrication, this representation that is all that it is. I've had some really trippy, incredible mirror meditations. If you just sit and you look, you don't even look in one eye, you just look at yourself directly. Look at the image of yourself directly. Because it's already happening. And it kills the ego. It kills the, because our mind is like, this cannot be. I must go on a long journey. I must read many books. And then, so it's like, a lot of people will ask me, like, is suffering, I've gotten the question a few times, is suffering necessary, or is the journey necessary, or the mushrooms, or the meditation, or the master class? And it turns out that none of it was needed. But would I be having this experience right now if I didn't do all of those, if I didn't knock myself out, if I didn't become obsessed with seeking? But I don't want to be a seeker. I don't want to just seek. Well, actually, I do enjoy it. I clearly enjoy seeking, but I want to be a finder. I want to be a knower. And this is a beautiful segue. Yes, I love it. I love it too. What we're seeking is being sought. Exactly. This is a beautiful segue into the thing that I can't remember that I was about to say. Wonderful. Wonderful. Being a realizer. Yeah, being the realized. Seeing through. I love this one. Seeing through real eyes. Ah, yes. So to get out of our own way. To get out of our own way. I'm going to post one of my absolute favorite meditations from one of my favorite teachers, Francis Lucille. He's got this book. He's my dear friend, Rupert Spira. Rupert, I said to Rupert, I came to him one day in one of his meetings. I said, Rupert, will you be my teacher? He's like, I'm not going to, because he doesn't do the teacher thing. He's like, I won't be your teacher, but we could be friends. On the same here, there's no like power dynamic, like. And I'm like, okay, cool. So we're friends. and to me, like, I'm like, that's exact. This is what I did as a seeker on the path. I'm like, that's exactly what my teacher would say, because he's so cool. He's like, no, my teacher's, he's not going to say he's my teacher because he's so absolutely humble and amazing. And Rupert has meetings too, live meetings like this, really, really incredible. So his teacher named Francis Lucille has this incredible book called The Perfume of Silence. Oh, it's just like totally not necessary. Again, like none of it is, but it's incredible because it's a like a beautiful description of this. And that's see, you're in love. Whoever watches this, I guarantee if you watch this, if you see us on replay, Sylvia, I know you're in love with these three things. Tell me if I'm wrong. You tell me if I'm wrong. We're deeply in love with three things: truth, because truth is whatever it is. Like, it's the way regardless of what we believe, like regardless of how many past lives I think I've had, or what I meant, whatever truth is sobering, because it's like truth is just, it is what it is, and it ain't gonna be any different. And we're gonna comment on that when we get back to this whole, is consciousness, is it really though? When we get to that. So number one is we're in love with truth. We're in love with love. Like, who isn't in love with love? It just feels so good to be in love with life, to be doing what we love, to be doing it with people we love, be loving ourselves as, and it's so natural. How many times have you asked yourself when you were deeply in love, how do I love? Never, not once. Not it's the natural function of an open way of being. And then, so like, to me, it's as simple as like, okay, well, I'm just going to apply that to everything else without exception. And a lot of people will come in and be like, yeah, but Christopher, but Sylvia, you've got to be realistic. And I go, so I can have a boring life like you? No, thank you, Mr. Appearance or Mrs. Appearance and Consciousness. I will prefer to just be in love with truth. And the third thing, do you know the third thing that you and me and that we're in love with? Cool. And Rupert and Francis. Yeah, please. Oh, I'm sorry, I can't. Your audio isn't. Freedom. Ooh, that's close. And like, yes, absolutely, yes, 100%. But it's not on the list of these three per se, because these are different expressions of the same thing, and probably freedom could very well be the fourth one. The third one is beauty. Because beauty, I live my life as a work of art. I live my life as a work of art. And when you're reading poetry, or when you're looking at a beautiful sunset, or when you're maybe you just made like an incredible, I don't know why crepes are coming through. Zlatko makes really good crepes, like a really beautiful crepe. It's just, you're just like, oh, that's beautiful. And because our mind is silent. We're like, oh yeah, that's so beauty is an expression of truth. And we don't even need to know why it's true or how it's true. It just is. And that's like, it's the isness of truth, the isness of beauty, and the isness of love, where it's unquestioned. So the only reason that you ask any questions, anyone that watches this video, the only reason that I ask any questions really is because we love it. We love to explore. Because I can't tell you, and that's, I actually love considering myself an artist, because the thing is, it's kind of like you can get away with anything almost. I mean, you got to be careful sometimes, but you can get away with anything, in the sense that when I write a poem, I don't have people coming up to me going, well, yeah, but is it true? Or did you fact, is that fact checked? Did you fact? No, it's an expression, and poetry especially, because I'm like, oh, I can say anything I want, anyhow I want to say it, and be free. We were just saying, the freedom to express ourselves in our beauty, in our love, in our truth. Okay, so yeah, so what I'm sorry, not Rupert, what Francis says in this meditation, that I'll send it to you, Sylvia, and then I'm going to put it in the Selfless Creators group as well. He talks about being in the flow and realizing that all there is the flow. There's not even, because the moment when I think I'm the one in the flow, to use water as an analogy, which is a great freaking analogy for this, if I am a log in the flow, then I'm kind of screwing up the flow. And water, I am, you are, we are just, it's just the flow. There's just the flow. That's all there ever is. And then an I thought will come in, and will be like, I want to feel like a stuck log on the side of the, damming up the flow. But it's not. And then we realize that it's in the water. So, okay, certainty, because I've said I don't know a lot of times. The truth is, we don't know as much as it's true that I don't know. And let's use truth, love, and beauty as the litmus test, as an experience right now for this. I don't know, but if I don't know, because I'm being that which is appearing, it is going to be dualistic. So as much as I don't know, I also know. And I know, what do I know? I know that I am. And so I rest in my amness, in my beingness. I rest in my, and as much time as I can. I'd be lying to you if I said that I still a lot of the times will take myself too seriously or get in my own way. I guess I'm doing it for entertainment. I don't know exactly why. To have a story and have something, and I don't know. Maybe that'll go away one day. But the thing is, it's like as much as I don't know, I also know that I know. I know that I don't know, and I know that I know just because I am here and I'm rooted, grounded, fully, freely in my amness and my beingness. And when I show up honestly to myself in as many situations as I can, which doesn't mean I even need to say anything because it's just the transmission of what's here. That's actually, not only is it absolute uncertainty, but it's absolute certainty. And I think that's why. So the beginning of the first words of today is momentum creates clarity. Momentum, movement. So when I'm speaking momentum creates clarity, I'm talking about that which appears in consciousness, me as a person, you as a person. That this is one of the reasons why I've been able to take massive action. Like literally 4 or 5 years ago, watched a documentary with Tony Robbins, and I was like, wait, he's a person, I'm a person. What's the difference? I'm 24, 25 years old. I want to start now, and I'll start failing, and then I'll have some good life experience stories to talk about. Because so many times with coaching, and actually not even just with coaching, but in any profession, job, um, when we're identified the label, that label, we allow that label to become like that log in that water. Yeah, but am I qualified? Do I this? Do I that? Do I that? Nobody knows. Nobody knows what's going on here. I mean, let's take real quick a big picture perspective. We're on a floating rock in the middle of outer space. Like, we live to like maybe 70, 80, 100, like whatever it is, and it always comes back to humor. A lot of the times it comes back to the absolute humor of like, I don't know, we're in this together, and it's so beautiful. Like it's really, I'm grateful for like the fact that you and I and whoever else watches this, like we've met, we are alive at the same time. I mean, there's been a lot of human beings throughout history. Who knows how accurate that is? That's a whole other masterclass. um, but we're here and we're getting to experience this in the way that we're experiencing this, and no one really knows anything about it. Yeah, there are successful spiritual teachers, successful accountants, successful people that know a lot of things about a lot of things. But I think it's here's not what I think. This momentum creates clarity. This came from Buckminster Fuller. And what the book, and you can get it online if you just Google this, Operating Manual for Spaceship Earth, PDF by Buckminster Fuller. And this book, this will teach you some shit that you definitely didn't learn in school when you were a kid. Unless maybe you were homeschooled. This is what I mean. I'm like, whoa, I didn't hear anything about consciousness or subject or object awareness. I didn't hear anything about any of a lot of the stuff that Buckminster Fuller talks about in this book. This idea that momentum creates clarity will give you it has the opportunities here, like whatever your dream is, whatever it is that you want to create as an appearance in consciousness. When you just take a lot of actions, like I'll use this masterclass as an example. I don't know what effects this will have. I know that it will have effects, or will appear to have effects, and I'll have the recordings. I'll be able to share it, and it's probably going to create a lot of beautiful. It is creating a lot of incredible things right now, and it's because I'm putting my energy and my efforts and my attention into this. And this is something that I want, and this is something that I love. And so when I put my energy and attention into something that I want and something that I love, then I want what I have, and I have what I want. And that's Zodka and I teach on. We taught on this in the Time Machine. It's called Divine Desire. So Divine Desire, I want to real quick share with you what Divine Desire. This is like the best, like I'm just on it right now, and I'm so happy that you're here, and I'm so happy that whoever else gets to see this recording, because this is really, you've caught me at a good time. And I've caught you at a good time. Divine desire, it's when you're so in love with what you're doing that you have to pee. Can we give up desire? We'll touch on that. Yes. So divine desire, and this is there's no reason, this will answer your question, there's no reason to give up on desire with this, because Sylvia and anybody else, I'm just going to say Sylvia and anybody else, you're going to know you didn't get to be here live, but I love you, and I'm happy that you're with me here, and I'm happy if you're watching the recording that you're getting to experience this, because it's like more reflective, and you get to be in your own space, and it's cool that way too. I can't ask you like I can with Sylvia. Divine desire. So divine desire. So Buddhism, Taoism, never have we had more access to all these different like things, and what we're attempting to do as spiritual beings, having a human experience, or as a being that's having a human experience, we're trying to make sense of it and be like, okay, well, Buddhism over here is saying that suffering is the root of all, desire is the root of all suffering. I'm like, maybe I just want to stop. What am I going to go sit in a cave? Like, how do I get rid of desire? Oh dear Lord, now I'm desiring to not desire. Now I'm desiring to not desire. Great. Good luck getting rid of desire. A monk, whoever, like giving up desire. Well, maybe when we realize that there's no one to give up desire. Ram Dass says it real beautifully. He's like, a lot of the time, like, I'll sit there and meditate, but I still get up to go to the bathroom. I still get up to eat food. Like, there are things being in a human vessel that, am I desiring to go to the bathroom? Yeah, a lot of the time, it's like, it feels really good to go and do that, or it feels really good to go and eat. So divine desire. So this is such perfect timing. I have my water here. And I'm kind of in divine desire right now. Well, I am in it, but I just happen to have water with me. So divine desire is when you are in love with what you're doing so much, you're just in the flow with it, that you're thirsty, but you're not getting up to go get more water, and you have to pee. So you're just holding it in, you're like, oh, I have to pee and I'm thirsty, but I'm so in love with whatever is happening that I'm putting off going to drink water, which is pretty crucial. That's exactly how I feel right now. Exactly. Right. There's a small amount of water in a banana, so that'll keep you semi-hydrated, and feel free to, you're welcome to whenever you need to do your thing. So let's see here. We're just going to take a meditative moment until Sylvia gets back. No rush, Sylvia. Oh, you're fast. Out of a stemless wine glass too. Now we can do real cheers. Cheers. Yeah, it's already, it's all happening. And I touched on this question yesterday. Am I willing to allow myself to experience the miracle that I am all the time? Or am I willing to accept how fucking awesome I am at all times, only, always, infinitely, even when I'm pretending not to? And a lot of the time when I ask myself that, I'm like, no, I want to struggle a little more. I want to figure it out a little more. It's getting less and less. So one quick story, and then we'll open up here. But I would imagine that any question that you had has been definitely answered. But if there's more questions or just whatever it is, it's cool, and I'm happy to be in it. My dear friend, I've been in a mastermind with him. He happens to be Bulgarian. I just have so many awesome Bulgarians in my life surrounding me at all times. I don't know what the karmic, the whole thing with that is, but actually that's right. I'm in. Uh, that's okay. Quick side note. Like I'm noticing as a very free spirited American, like I do this Russian mixed martial arts workout routine. Really cool. It's called Sistema. So cool. And I was teaching Adam, Zlatka's little brother, it on the beach today. And like I noticed that just because what we were doing was a little bit different, like it was just like people were kind of like looking, and I'm like, what? Like what? I'm just doing my Sistema thing. But I maybe it's something cultural. I mean, I'm sure it would be happening in a lot of different situations too. But yeah, one more other quick example, which was really cool. The first time I was here in Bulgaria with Sladka 2 years ago, we were on the bus, and this is just how I am. Um, we were on the train to go somewhere. I think we were leaving Sofia. Yeah, I think we were leaving Sofia to come to her grandparents' village. And there was this man, he was sitting there, and he just looked kind of pissed off at life. Which is like just sitting there. And I'm sure Sylvia's familiar with seeing men like this, regardless of cultural background. But I said to Zlatka, I said, how do I, and he happened to have this beautiful bouquet of flowers with him. And I said to Zlatka, I said, how do I ask him who the flowers are for? And she's like, no, don't, like people just mind their own business here. Like, just don't even worry about that. And I said to Zlatka, I said, either you tell me how to ask him who these flowers are for, or I'm going to strugglingly speak in English and point to the flowers. And so she starts talking to him, and this guy, he lit up with joy. He was just like, I made his day. And I think he was bringing them to his lover or his wife. And it was like a really sweet moment, because Vodka saw like how my way of just being very open with others and stuff can actually um, inspire some joy. So, all right, that's see what I do, Sylvia, depending on how tired I am and many other things. I get really off topic, but I usually come back. I call it reeling it in. So that all came from me saying that there's this last story that I want to share here with Ivan Nikolov, my dear friend, who he introduced me to Zlatka actually at the Summit of Greatness a couple years back. He had a neural feedback session, which a neural feedback is when they hook up all these things to your brain, and you sit there, and I think they put some music on, and you're basically just relaxing for like a half hour. I think it was about a half hour session. And in the middle of, and by the way, this is the key to the kingdom of curiosity, of the kingdom within. He thought he heard he's sitting there with his wife. His wife was sitting there with the person who had him hooked up. Okay, good. We have 11% battery, so we'll have enough time to finish here. He thought he heard his wife say, he's sleeping right. He thought he heard the researcher that was doing it say, he's sleeping right now, to his wife. And the moment when he thought he heard, he was in a really deep state of relaxation. The moment when he thought he heard that, he immediately went, oh no, they think I'm awake. I have to do whatever I was doing to keep my brain waves like really calm and relaxed. And the moment that he started doing that, guess what happened to his brain waves? They went crazy, or so he thought. And later that day, he was walking with his wife, Natka, and he was asking her about this. And he said to her the coolest thing. He said, Ivan, he never said that you were sleeping. Yeah, I'm going to unpack that. And it's going to blow your mind, as it did mine. And I have some suspicions of like what was in my pseudo-scientific consciousness explorer way of being. I think I know what happened. So he thought that this was said, and the moment that he thought it was said, he created that moment. That moment didn't happen. He was in a really deep, probably deep sleep. So here's a really interesting thing. A lot of my teachers and those I've learned from, Ramana Maharshi, one of them, which is one of Rupert's teachers, he'll say when people are asking about death, he'll be like, "Are you afraid to go to sleep at night?" Paraphrasing, he doesn't. He's like, "Are you?" Because you disappear every night. In deep, deep sleep, we don't even have dreams. We're gone. We're as good as dead. I mean, we resurrect. We come back in the morning, and interestingly, that's the most rejuvenating sleep that we get. Interesting that when there's no sensation of I, and we're alive. Yeah, yeah. And so that's why they say for the sage, deep sleep is like being awake, and being awake is like deep sleep. Oh, boom! She just had it. She had it. I'm screenshot. I screenshotted it. I think I saw the aha, because there's night thought there. There's no one to be in the way there, and it's incredibly. And so that what is only it's just whether, but an I thought will come in, and then we start producing stress and whatever we're doing things, but it's totally accessible, and it is what's happening now. So I'm Yvonne. See you soon. Yeah. Okay. Good. I'm pretty sure Yvonne was in really deep sleep, and then the moment when he exited out of deep sleep, I hope the Wi-Fi will kick back on here. Let's see. Hit me with a. All right, we're back. So the moment that Yvonne, my suspicion of what happened is that he was in deep sleep, and then the moment that he woke up, he thought, he's like, oh, I'm really relaxed, like, and he created a thought of the guy saying he's sleeping right now, which is incredible, because our brain, we do these things, but we're doing these things when we're awake too. And the whole point to this is he created that. He created a stressful state that didn't actually exist. And when he created it, he created this whole scenario that literally it didn't even happen. And now this is where it gets really trippy. I'd be really interested to see, like, did him waking up cause the brainwaves to go get more active, or did him having that thought cause the brain? I don't know. It's definitely associated with the thought. That's for sure. Yeah, and then we actually had this mastermind just a week or two ago, just about not being in our own way. And it here's the reason why it can be incredibly challenging, is because we have situations, things in our life where, like, we want clarity on, or we want to figure them out, and then our mind, the illusion that we buy into is that our mind comes in and it's going to try, which then nothing is. It's just like, I always say trying, it's like when there's two fish in the water and one fish comes up to the other fish and it's like, what is it like to be wet? What does the other fish say to that? Like, how do you respond? Like, so, I mean, and I think the real example here, it's like, so when we ask these masters or whoever it is that we're going to, it's like, well, what is it like to be enlightened? I think this is why the Buddha didn't say. I think the Buddha, I have Buddha's most famous quote. These are quotation marks, and also 11:11, because
Are you back?
Good old Wi-Fi.
Nice.
I'm back. So yeah, just what I was finishing off with was this is why. Oh yeah, so it's an empty quotation mark, because I think a lot of the times someone would ask, like one of these teachers, like, well, how do I do this, or what is it, how do I end suffering, or whatever the case may be. And he realized that he couldn't answer with words, because then he's in the kind of like in a trap of like the answer is beyond words. So the best answer is just going to be the transmission in loving silence. And at the same time, I love words. And so why not use it? Because the thing is, the answer of who we already are, like the fish that's already in water, it's already being lived, whether or not we like it or not. We are that. So that completes today's entire presentation. And thank you for joining me, Sylvia.
Amazing, Chris. Thank you so much for your time and the stories and the impact. And I'm sure everyone listening will really be able to take away some of these deep truths and learn how to get out of our own ways, you know, and just allow and be that we be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I just wrote you, like, I was wondering if you could touch on rebirth, but maybe for tomorrow.
Yeah. No. We could talk about that right now. Absolutely. Let me just see how much. Okay, I've got 6% battery, so I think that will suffice. So what is it? What's the like question, or what is it about? Like, tell me all the things that happened to get you to the point of asking about rebirth.
If there is no self, there's no one to be born. We are consciousness, so we're not really being born. You know, us human bodies are materially appearing here, but so in terms of rebirth and karma, what is really happening there from a vantage point of consciousness?
Yeah. So incredible question. I don't know the answer, and I'll do my best to answer from my experience and experiences as well. And you threw in there right at the end, you threw the word karma in there, which karma, I think it's one of the most widely misunderstood things. Like, people will say, oh, that's karma when something bad happens, or people, oh, well, he has good karma. Here's the example that I give with karma, and this has to do with rebirth as well. So see my sunglasses here? This is karma. Karma is, did you see I just picked them up? So here's cause, here's effect. Ramana Maharshi would say this too. You can't pick up one end of a stick or one end of sunglasses. I'm making it now a modern day analogy, without picking up the other end. So karma is just what's happening. That simple. It doesn't need to be tied into like, well, you know, in a past lifetime I did this, and so then I'm reborn as this. And they say, I think the Buddhism says like it takes like a couple million lifetimes to be born as a human. I mean, the rebirthing process is just happening again and again and again and again and again, over and over and over and over and over, infinitely, now, and it's beautiful, because then we're always being born anew. We're always being born. The trick is for you and I is, well, yeah, but it appears that I'm in this body, and it appears that this body was born some long time ago. The trick is to not identify as the temporary mind and as the temporary body, and just know that we experience that we are the subjective consciousness that, as you said, I think accurately, is never born and never dies. It appears to be born and it appears to die, but that just arises in consciousness and then goes away in consciousness. Is there any follow-up or anything you want to comment on? That was so
profound. That was exactly, I totally received that. Thank you so much. I really felt that. It brought clarity and confidence and assurance. And so I really appreciate that. It was brilliant.
And
for sure.
The thing is, I'm so happy. Oh, yeah, totally, definitely resonating as well with you in this. It frees us. It frees us from this, which could well be tied into some systems that want to control us. It completely frees us of any karma. Like, oh, I did something that I'm not happy that I did. I don't want to say that I did a bad thing, but I've done many things that I'm not happy that I've done in my life. But those things that I did, if there was, and I'm not to say that I'm not responsible for everything that I did. I certainly am responsible for all the effects of those things right now, but they're not limiting me or tying me in. There's nothing that they are forcing me to, well, I have to, because I did that, then I have to do that. No, that's totally would be bought into the identity of something that's born and then has a consistent identity instead of the truth of awareness, of being. You're frozen. You're frozen in the Zoom screen, and I'm singing to your frozen being. Okay, there, now you're frozen. Very good. So tomorrow, same time, same space, same place, same Zoom link as well. We're going to go over no self, no problem, which we've already touched on. The end of self-improvement, because there ain't no self to improve on, and more of getting out of the own way, and then the annihilation of fear. So then we're free to just literally do anything we want, anyhow we want. From a place of that being the natural, from just like being curious, like a child, like a kid. So I am so grateful, again, expressing my gratitude, sharing my gratitude. Enjoy however you integrate and whatever it is you're going to do for the rest of your morning, and I hope to see you tomorrow. And everybody else that watched the recording, thank you for joining.
Thank you so much, Chris. Sending you so much love and appreciation, and enjoy Bulgaria for me. Give it a big hug and kiss, and just sending that energy over there. Thank you for your presence there, and the ripples that
Yes,
this group and who you be and how it's impacting. I feel it. I feel the impact and the power, what we're discussing, and this group and the really shifting things. And I just love being a part of it with you. So thank you. See you tomorrow.
Yeah, thank you for coming. And my heart, my ego, my soul, all of it receives. And right back to you, Sophia. See you everybody tomorrow. Peace.